many years of your life have you already traded for comfort, distraction, or delay? You tell yourself you're just resting, but deep down, you know you're drifting. Another morning, another scroll, another promise that tomorrow you'll start. The Stoics warned about this 2,000 years ago. They saw how humans waste decades preparing to live instead of actually living. Seneca said, "It's not that we have a short life, but that we make it short by wasting it. Right now, your time is slipping quietly through your fingers. Not stolen, surrendered. Every moment you hesitate, comfort wins and potential dies. But what if there was a way to break that pattern today? There's a brutal Stoic truth that could rebuild your life if you have the courage to face it. You don't lack time. You lack urgency. We live as if tomorrow is guaranteed, yet fear trivial things like discomfort or failure. Meanwhile, the clock never stops. The Stoics didn't pray for easier days, they trained for harder ones. Because they knew every delay is self-betrayal. Imagine looking in the mirror a year from now stronger, sharper because today you choose to stop waiting. That's what this message is about. In this video, you'll discover 7 Stoic truths, not motivational cliches, but timeless principles proven by men who faced war, exile, and death yet build peace within chaos. These truths will show you how to stop wasting your life, how to act with clarity and urgency, and how to rebuild your discipline one decision at a time. And stay until the end, because I'll share one final Stoic test that separates dreamers from builders. If you've ever felt that quiet anger inside, the one that says, "I'm meant for more than this," then this is your moment to listen. Before we dive in, take a deep breath, because what you're about to hear isn't motivation, it's confrontation. The Stoics didn't speak to comfort people. They spoke to awaken them. And maybe that's exactly what you need right now. Not another soft promise of someday, but a clear reminder that your someday is today. Every second you hesitate, your potential quietly decays. So ask yourself, honestly, if not now, when? If not you, who? This is your life. This is your moment. Let's rebuild it together. You wake up tired, even after sleeping 8 hours. You grab your phone before you even breathe. The flood of notifications hits news, messages, endless opinions. And before your feet touch the floor, your mind is already exhausted. You tell yourself you're busy, but deep down, you know, you're not progressing. You're just surviving. This quiet fatigue is the modern disease. It's not physical, it's spiritual. You're overwhelmed not because you have too much to do, but because nothing you do feels meaningful anymore. The Stoics saw this centuries ago. They warned that people lose their lives not by dying, but by wasting time on things that don't matter. Seneca wrote, "You act like mortals in all that you fear, and like immortals in all that you desire." Think about that. We panic over small inconveniences, traffic, emails, deadlines, but we act as if we have infinite tomorrows to fix our lives. We fear discomfort more than regret. We delay dreams in exchange for temporary ease. The Stoics didn't live that way. They built lives with intention, structure, and urgency. Marcus Aurelius ruled an empire while practicing presence. Epictetus turned slavery into wisdom. They didn't wait for ideal conditions, they created them. And that's exactly what this video is about. Reclaiming the power you've been giving away, minute by minute. In this episode, You'll discover 7 brutal Stoic truths principles that can shift your life from delay to discipline, from distraction to direction. These aren't abstract ideas from dusty philosophy books. They are blueprints tested in the fire of real life, by people who faced chaos and built clarity anyway. By the end of this journey, you'll understand how to stop negotiating with your laziness, how to build ruthless clarity, how to sustain momentum, and how to live as a builder in a world of dreamers. And at the very end, I'll share a simple but powerful Stoic test, one that will challenge the way you spend every remaining hour of your life. But before we go deeper, remember this: I'm not here to lecture you. I've been there, the burnout, the endless cycle of trying to fix everything except myself. This isn't about judgment. It's about understanding the patterns that quietly steal your potential. This video isn't entertainment. It's a mirror. You may not like what you see at first, but you'll recognize yourself in it. And that recognition is where real change begins. If you've ever felt stuck between who you are and who you could be, this is your chance to bridge that gap. Not someday, not when life calms down, but now, while you still have time. So here's what to expect. We'll break down 7 Stoic truths, each one practical, each one uncomfortable, and each one powerful enough to rebuild your life from the inside out. You'll see how ancient wisdom meets modern struggle, burnout, comparison, digital chaos, emotional fatigue. You'll walk away not just inspired, but equipped with tools you can apply today. Because the Stoic way isn't about theory, it's about action. If you stay with me through the end, you won't just understand Stoicism. You'll feel it working through you, sharpening your focus, grounding your emotions, and reminding you of something the world keeps making you forget. You are not out of time. You're out of excuses. Number 1. Stop negotiating with your laziness. The alarm rings. You open your eyes, glance at the clock, and whisper the same promise you made yesterday. 5 more minutes. That small moment feels harmless, but it quietly shapes your entire life. Every time you delay action, you tell your mind that comfort matters more than commitment. The Stoics called this the soft disease of the soul, the craving for ease over effort. Marcus Aurelius fought that same battle every dawn. He reminded himself, I rise to the work of a human being, not an emperor, not a philosopher, human being. Because the work of being human is to grow, to act, to build. Comfort may feel like peace, but it's the slow death of potential. Most people think laziness is about lying on the couch or skipping workouts. It's deeper than that. Laziness is a mental negotiation. It whispers, you deserve a break. It convinces you that tomorrow is better. It uses kindness as a disguise for fear. Every time you make peace with that voice, you surrender a small piece of your self-respect. You begin to distrust your own word. You say, I'll do it later, and your mind quietly answers, no, you won't. The Stoics believe discipline isn't punishment, it's honor. It's the quiet pride of showing up for yourself when no one's watching. Because if you can't rely on your own word, what foundation can you build anything on? Marcus Aurelius faced plagues, betrayal, and war. Yet his greatest struggle was the same one you face every morning, getting up when you don't feel like it. He didn't always win that fight, but he never stopped showing up for it. That's the difference between ordinary and extraordinary people. Not their talent, not their luck, their willingness to confront the small battles that no one sees. Laziness is sneaky. It never says, quit forever. It says, just not today. But today becomes a pattern. and patterns become your life. Each time you delay, you strengthen your weakness. Each time you act despite resistance, you strengthen your freedom. There are 4 kinds of laziness, and most people suffer from all of them without realizing it. Physical laziness, the body that resists movement. Mental laziness, the mind that confuses thinking with doing. Emotional laziness, the heart that avoids difficult conversations and uncomfortable truths. And spiritual laziness, the soul that never questions whether its daily actions match its deepest values. You can't fix what you don't face. The Stoics practiced voluntary discomfort to train these muscles of effort. They woke early, endured cold, skipped indulgence not for punishment, but preparation. Every small act of chosen hardship made them stronger for the real storms of life. Modern comfort is the new chain. We think freedom means ease, but ease often becomes dependence on dopamine, on distractions, on validation. Every time you surrender to comfort, your discipline weakens. Every time you choose effort, your freedom expands. Think about it. The person you admire most isn't the one who took the easy path. It's the one who acted while everyone else hesitated. When you lift something heavy, your muscles tear before they grow. The same happens with your willpower. Resistance is the signal that you're becoming stronger. The Stoics didn't seek comfort, they sought capacity. They understood that pain isn't punishment. It's proof that growth is happening. So how do you stop negotiating with your laziness? First, expect resistance. Even Marcus Aurelius hated getting out of bed. Expecting it keeps you from being surprised by it. Second, build systems, not moods. Wake up and follow your plan, whether or not you feel like it. Emotion should never have the steering wheel. Third, design your environment so good choices are easier. Put your phone out of reach. Lay out your workout clothes. Remove the excuses before they appear. Laziness feeds on friction. Remove the friction from discipline instead. When you stop relying on motivation, you start relying on integrity. Anyone can act when inspired. Few can act when exhausted. That's where greatness begins. Think of the builder who shows up on the coldest day of the year, the writer who types through doubt, the parent who stays patient despite chaos. These are modern Stoics, people who act not because they feel ready, but because they said they would. Each time you honor your commitment, even privately, your confidence grows quietly. And one day, you realize you no longer need motivation at all because action has become who you are. If you've spent years losing to laziness, forgive yourself. The past can't be rebuilt, but the next hour can. Draw a clear line today. You will no longer negotiate with weakness. When your alarm rings, rise. When doubt whispers, act. When fatigue speaks, move anyway. Because discipline works when motivation fails. Every small victory compounds: reading 1 page, walking 1 mile, keeping 1 promise. They seem minor, but together they rebuild the foundation of self-trust you've lost. Seneca said, "How long are you going to wait before you demand the best of yourself?" Let that question echo every morning until action becomes your only answer. Understand this: comfort is not peace, it's sedation. Real peace comes from alignment, from living in harmony with your values, not escaping them. You will feel resistance in your body and your mind, but that resistance is life inviting you to grow. When you move through it instead of around it, you discover something powerful. You don't have to win every battle. You just have to stop running from them. Courage isn't the absence of laziness, it's the decision to act while it's still there. That's the Stoic way. Not perfection, but persistence. One day, the alarm will ring, and you'll rise not because you feel like it, but because it's who you are. You'll work through fatigue, train through boredom, speak truth through fear, and somewhere along the way, the war within you will quiet not because it ended, but because you finally won the right to lead yourself. Comfort is a beautiful prison. Discipline is the key to freedom. The only question left is, will you use it? If your answer is yes, type this in your mind before we move on. I refuse to negotiate with laziness. Number 2. Build ruthless clarity about your life. Look around, most people aren't lazy. They're busy, exhausted, and lost. They wake up running, but have no idea where they're going. Every week feels urgent, but nothing feels meaningful. That's not lack of effort, it's lack of direction. You can work hard and still go nowhere if you don't know what you're building. That's why the Stoics valued clarity above almost everything. Seneca warned, "If a man knows not to which port he sails, no wind is favorable. Even a strong wind can't help a ship that has no destination." The same is true for you. Until you define what your life is actually about, all your energy just turns into motion, not progress. The tragedy of modern life isn't that people don't work hard, it's that they work hard on the wrong things. We chase more money, more approval, more noise. We say yes to everything and end up committed to nothing. Clarity isn't about doing more, it's about doing what matters. Ask yourself, what am I building? What kind of person do I want to become in 5 years? What will I regret not doing if life ended sooner than I expected? These are uncomfortable questions, but the Stoics built their peace on discomfort. They faced truth early so they wouldn't waste life later. The cost of unclear living is always regret. Seneca, Marcus Aurelius, and Epictetus didn't have social media, smartphones, or constant noise. Yet they warned about distraction, the same disease we face, just louder now. They believed that a person without clear purpose becomes a slave to every impulse. You say you don't have time, but time isn't missing, it's being stolen by distractions you allow. Every time you scroll instead of study, complain instead of create, react instead of reflect, you're giving away another piece of your life to things that won't matter a month from now. Clarity begins when you stop reacting and start deciding. Here's a simple truth. Life becomes lighter when you decide what's heavy. Most people live under the weight of things that aren't theirs to carry: expectations, guilt, comparison, fear. Clarity means deciding what to drop. It's saying, this is mine to build, and that is not. The Stoics called this the discipline of choice, knowing what deserves your attention and what doesn't. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily, you could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think. When you remember how short life truly is, confusion becomes expensive. You stop wasting energy on being everywhere and start finding strength in being exactly where you are. But real clarity requires honesty, brutal honesty. Most people say they want success, but they never define what success means. They copy someone else's vision and wonder why it feels empty. Ask yourself, what does enough look like for me? How do I define peace? What am I willing to sacrifice for what I claim to want? Vague goals create vague lives. When Marcus wrote Meditations, he wasn't writing philosophy for others, he was reminding himself of his own direction. He understood that writing down your principles isn't about sounding wise, it's about staying aligned when the world tries to pull you off course. So write yours. Don't wait until life does it for you. The Stoics practiced something like what we'd call a personal manifesto. It wasn't about lofty dreams, it was about clarity of duty. What do you stand for? What are your non-negotiables? Maybe it's protecting your morning focus, maintaining physical discipline, keeping your word, or treating others with fairness. Whatever they are, write them down. Because when chaos hits, and it always will, your principles will decide faster than your emotions. The world will try to distract you, sell you urgency, feed you guilt. Clarity is your shield. Without it, you're just reacting to whoever shouts the loudest. Here's what clarity does: it simplifies life. Not by removing difficulty, but by removing confusion. You start saying no without guilt, yes without hesitation. You stop chasing everything because you finally know what's worth keeping. Seneca said, "True wealth is not having many possessions, but having few wants." Clarity reduces your wants to only what aligns with your values. And in that simplicity, you find peace, not the lazy kind that hides from responsibility, but the grounded kind that comes from knowing exactly why you're here. Once you taste that peace, you'll never want the chaos again. In today's world, confusion is profitable. Social media thrives on stealing your focus. Companies sell you happiness through products. News cycles keep you angry so you'll stay engaged. If you aren't clear about what matters to you, someone else will decide for you. Every algorithm is designed to distract, every ad to confuse your desires. But clarity is rebellion. When you guard your attention like a warrior guards his weapon, you take your power back. You stop being a consumer of distractions and become a creator of meaning. That's what it means to live intentionally in a world built for noise, Epictetus said. No man is free who is not master of himself. You become the master of your life the moment you get clear about what you're building, regardless of what others think. Stop waiting for permission to live deliberately. The more precise your direction, the quieter the opinions of others become. You'll disappoint some people when you prioritize your clarity over their comfort. That's okay. You're not here to be liked, you're here to live honestly. Your life isn't a democracy. It's a mission. So take a quiet moment tonight. Sit with a notebook, away from screens, away from noise. Ask yourself the hardest questions you've been avoiding. Who am I becoming? What am I building? What am I wasting time on that I already know doesn't matter? Write the answers. Don't rush. That's where clarity begins, not in more information, but in honest reflection. When you're clear, your path appears. And once it does, protect it fiercely, because the world will always try to blur it again. Clarity is the compass of the Stoic builder. With it, you can cross any storm. Without it, even calm seas will drown you. Number 3, stop waiting for motivation. Create momentum yourself. Most people waste years waiting for motivation, the perfect mood, the right timing, the spark of inspiration that will finally make everything easy. But here's the truth: motivation isn't coming. It was never meant to. Motivation is a reward for action, not the requirement for it. The Stoics understood this long before modern psychology caught up. They didn't wait to feel ready. They acted their way into readiness. Every time you move before you feel like it, you send your brain a powerful message. I am the kind of person who acts. That's how momentum begins, not in comfort, but in motion. Stop waiting for the fire to start. Strike the match yourself. We live in an age that worships motivation. Social media feeds us quotes and mantras, but none of it changes the fact that feelings are unreliable. They rise and fall like weather. If you only act when you feel inspired, you live a life of emotional seasons, brief springs of progress, long winters of stagnation. The Stoics reversed the equation. They didn't ask, "How do I feel?" They asked, "What needs to be done?" You don't need enthusiasm to take the first step. You just need honesty to admit that waiting for the perfect mood is just another form of procrastination dressed as patience. Clean this. A Stoic philosopher who worked as a boxer at night and a water carrier by day once said, "When the stone is too heavy to lift, wedge another beneath and continue." He wasn't just talking about rocks. He was teaching how to move forward when willpower fails. When the task feels too heavy, don't stop, find leverage. Build systems that make action automatic. The modern world calls it habit formation. The Stoics called it discipline. Either way, it means this: you don't rise to the level of your feelings. You fall to the level of your systems. Stop relying on inspiration to carry you. Build momentum so strong that even bad days can't break it. Momentum doesn't care about mood. It rewards consistency. If you move one step forward every day, you become unstoppable, not because you're faster, but because you never stop moving. Think of water carving through stone. It's not force, it's persistence. You may not always feel powerful. Some days, you'll just feel tired. But those are the days that shape you the most. Every action taken without motivation is a silent victory over your old self. That's what Stoic resilience really means. Doing what matters, especially when you don't feel like it. Because in that moment, you are not following emotion, you're leading it. Let's be honest, motivation feels amazing. It makes everything look easy. But it's also a liar. It convinces you that unless you feel inspired, your work won't be good enough. It tells you that effort without excitement is meaningless. That's false. The Stoics believed that the highest form of excellence isn't doing great work when you're inspired, but doing necessary work when you're not. Consistency, not passion, creates results. Your feelings can't be trusted, but your habits can. So stop chasing the higher motivation. Chase momentum instead. It's quieter, steadier, and far more powerful. Start small, so small that failure feels impossible. 10 push-ups, 5 minutes of reading, a single line written in your journal. That's where the Stoics would begin. Why? Because small victories remove the mental friction that keeps you stuck. They prove to your brain that movement is safe, progress is possible, and identity can shift. From that point, momentum takes over. Action gives evidence, gives belief, gives more action. That's the real motivation loop. You don't wait for a belief. You build it through proof. Seneca once said, "The matter is not that life is short, but that we waste much of it. Every day you act, you reclaim a piece of the time you once surrendered to hesitation. You'll never feel ready." That's the truth most people never accept. They keep researching, planning, tweaking, hoping to erase the fear of starting. But fear doesn't vanish through planning. It dissolves through movement. Epictetus taught that we suffer more in imagination than in reality. The anticipation of effort hurts more than the effort itself. So take the first imperfect step, then another. Don't overthink your way into paralysis. Act your way into clarity. Momentum creates confidence. Inaction kills it. The Stoics practiced steadiness, the art of showing up, no matter what storms came. Marcus Aurelius didn't ask for an easy life. He asked for strength to meet life as it was. You can do the same. When motivation disappears, rely on ritual. When inspiration fades, rely on structure. And when your willpower runs dry, rely on identity. I am the kind of person who does what needs to be done. That sentence will carry you through the noise. Discipline isn't glamorous, but it's sacred. It turns ordinary people into builders of extraordinary lives. Momentum isn't built in bursts, it's built in the quiet repetition of small wins that no one applauds but you. Here's the paradox. Once you stop needing motivation, it starts finding you. Because movement creates energy. Each time you take action, you generate the very fuel you are waiting for. This is how momentum becomes self-sustaining. The Stoics understood this long before science proved it. They knew that a life of steady motion creates not only results, but also peace. You stop fearing stillness because you know how to move again. You stop doubting yourself because you've built proof of your consistency. Momentum is your shield against chaos. It keeps you grounded when the world spins. So stop waiting for a perfect timing. Stop promising yourself tomorrow. You don't need fireworks to start, you just need one spark of action. Right now. Write the message, make the call, do the workout, begin the thing you keep postponing. Because each small act of motion echoes louder than any burst of inspiration. The Stoics built empires of discipline, not feelings. And so can you. One day, people will look at your life and call you motivated. But you'll know the truth, it wasn't motivation. It was momentum, built one unglamorous step at a time. Number 3, stop waiting for motivation. Create momentum yourself. Most people waste years waiting for motivation, the perfect mood, the right timing, the spark of inspiration that will finally make everything easy. But here's the truth. Motivation isn't coming. It was never meant to. Motivation is a reward for action, not the requirement for it. The Stoics understood this long before modern psychology caught up. They didn't wait to feel ready. They acted their way into readiness. Every time you move before you feel like it, you send your brain a powerful message. I am the kind of person who acts. That's how momentum begins, not in comfort, but in motion. Stop waiting for the fire to start. Strike the match yourself. We live in an age that worships motivation. Social media feeds us quotes and mantras, but none of it changes the fact that feelings are unreliable. They rise and fall like weather. If you only act when you feel inspired, you live a life of emotional seasons, brief springs of progress, long winters of stagnation. The Stoics reversed the equation. They didn't ask, "How do I feel?" They asked, "What needs to be done?" You don't need enthusiasm to take the first step. You just need honesty to admit that waiting for the perfect mood is just another form of procrastination dressed as patience. Clean this. A Stoic philosopher who worked as a boxer at night and a water carrier by day once said, "When the stone is too heavy to lift, wedge another beneath and continue." He wasn't just talking about rocks. He was teaching how to move forward when willpower fails. When the task feels too heavy, don't stop, find leverage. Build systems that make action automatic. The modern world calls it habit formation. The Stoics called it discipline. Either way, it means this. You don't rise to the level of your feelings. You fall to the level of your systems. Stop relying on inspiration to carry you. Build momentum so strong that even bad days can't break it. Momentum doesn't care about mood. It rewards consistency. If you move one step forward every day, you become unstoppable, not because you're faster, but because you never stop moving. Think of water carving through stone. It's not force, it's persistence. You may not always feel powerful. Some days, you'll just feel tired. But those are the days that shape you the most. Every action taken without motivation is a silent victory over your old self. That's what Stoic resilience really means. Doing what matters, especially when you don't feel like it. Because in that moment, you are not following emotion, you're leading it. Let's be honest, motivation feels amazing. It makes everything look easy, but it's also a liar. It convinces you that unless you feel inspired, your work won't be good enough. It tells you that effort without excitement is meaningless. That's false. The Stoics believe that the highest form of excellence isn't doing great work when you're inspired, but doing necessary work when you're not. Consistency, not passion, creates results. Your feelings can't be trusted, but your habits can. So stop chasing the high of motivation. Chase momentum instead. It's quieter, steadier, and far more powerful. Start small, so small that failure feels impossible. 10 push-ups, 5 minutes of reading, a single line written in your journal. That's where the Stoics would begin. Why? Because small victories remove the mental friction that keeps you stuck. They prove to your brain that movement is safe, progress is possible, and identity can shift. From that point, momentum takes over. Action gives evidence, gives belief, gives more action. That's the real motivation loop. You don't wait for a belief. You build it through proof. Seneca once said, "The matter is not that life is short, but that we waste much of it. Every day you act, you reclaim a piece of the time you once surrendered to hesitation. You'll never feel ready." That's the truth most people never accept. They keep researching, planning, tweaking, hoping to erase the fear of starting. But fear doesn't vanish through planning. It dissolves through movement. Epictetus taught that we suffer more in imagination than in reality. The anticipation of effort hurts more than the effort itself. So take the first imperfect step, then another. Don't overthink your way into paralysis. Act your way into clarity. Momentum creates confidence. Inaction kills it. The Stoics practiced steadiness, the art of showing up, no matter what storms came. Marcus Aurelius didn't ask for an easy life. He asked for strength to meet life as it was. You can do the same. When motivation disappears, rely on ritual. When inspiration fades, rely on structure. And when your willpower runs dry, rely on identity. I am the kind of person who does what needs to be done. That sentence will carry you through the noise. Discipline isn't glamorous, but it's sacred. It turns ordinary people into builders of extraordinary lives. Momentum isn't built in bursts, it's built in the quiet repetition of small wins that no one applauds but you. Here's the paradox. Once you stop needing motivation, it starts finding you. Because movement creates energy. Each time you take action, you generate the very fuel you were waiting for. This is how momentum becomes self-sustaining. The Stoics understood this long before science proved it. They knew that a life of steady motion creates not only results, but also peace. You stop fearing stillness because you know how to move again. You stop doubting yourself because you've built proof of your consistency. Momentum is your shield against chaos. It keeps you grounded when the world spins. So stop waiting for a perfect timing. Stop promising yourself tomorrow. You don't need fireworks to start, you just need one spark of action. Right now. Write the message. Make the call. Do the workout. Begin the thing you keep postponing. Because each small act of motion echoes louder than any burst of inspiration. The Stoics built empires of discipline, not feelings. And so can you. One day, people will look at your life and call you motivated. But you know the truth, it wasn't motivation. It was momentum, built one unglamorous step at a time. Number 4. Surround yourself with builders, not dreamers. Take a look at the 5 people you spend the most time with. What do they talk about when no one's watching? Do they speak about growth, building, discipline, or gossip, comfort, and excuses? You may not realize it, but your environment is shaping your destiny every single day. Epictetus warned, avoid fraternizing with negative people, for they increase your likelihood of sinking to their level. This isn't arrogance. It's awareness. We rise or fall to the standards of the company we keep. If your circle normalizes delay, you'll delay. If they normalize excellence, you'll evolve. That's not psychology, it's gravity. Modern culture romanticizes loyalty to mediocrity. We're told to stay humble, fit in, not outgrow our friends. But humility doesn't mean shrinking yourself to make others comfortable. It means being honest enough to admit you've changed and brave enough to walk alone until you find others walking the same way. The Stoics valued solitude for a reason. They believed that silence tests your strength better than company. When you sit alone and hear your thoughts clearly, you discover whether they're strong enough to stand without validation. You cannot find higher ground while clinging to lower comfort. Your social environment is like soil. No matter how good the seed, nothing grows in poisoned ground. You can read every Stoic quote, practice every discipline, but if you're surrounded by people who mock ambition and glorify apathy, your growth will wither. Pay attention. Do your conversations leave you drained or driven? Do your friends celebrate your progress or feel threatened by it? Marcus Aurelius wrote that we should live as on a mountain, above the noise of opinion, focused on character, not approval. He ruled an empire surrounded by flatterers, yet refused to let them shape his soul. Can you say the same about your circle? Dreamers talk about what they'll do someday. Builders work quietly today. Dreamers crave applause. Builders crave progress. Dreamers need motivation. Builders rely on systems. The difference isn't intelligence, it's consistency. Every builder you admire was once a dreamer who stopped waiting for support. They acted when nobody believed in them, and their results became their voice. That's Stoic strength in motion, less talking, more doing. Ask yourself, do the people around you pull you forward or keep you comfortable where you are? One conversation can either water your fire or extinguish it. Choose wisely. Here's the trap. You'll try to change your habits while keeping the same environment, and it will pull you back every time. You can't heal in the same room that made you sick. You can't grow in a circle that fears your growth. The Stoics didn't isolate out of arrogance, they withdrew to protect their focus. Seneca said, associate with those who make you better. That doesn't mean abandoning everyone who struggles. It means protecting your energy from those who refuse to rise. You can love people without joining their patterns. You can care deeply and still step back quietly. That's not cruelty, it's clarity. Sometimes, the hardest part of growth isn't the discipline, it's the loneliness. When you start changing, people will notice. Some will admire it, others will mock it. You'll feel tempted to shrink again, to be normal. But remember this, temporary solitude is better than permanent stagnation. Marcus Aurelius spent years on battlefields, journaling alone, surrounded by soldiers but often misunderstood. He wrote, waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one. Don't explain your evolution, embody it. The right people will recognize your silence as strength. Building your tribe isn't about luck, it's about alignment. You find builders in places of movement: the gym, the library, the workshop, the quiet corners where people work instead of talk. Builders recognize each other by their habits, not their hashtags. You'll know you've met one when a simple conversation feels like fuel, not escape. They don't compete. They challenge. They don't flatter. They hold you accountable. Being round builders raises your standards by osmosis. You can't stay small next to greatness that's humble. The Stoics understood that friendship wasn't emotional comfort. It was mutual sharpening of the soul. But don't just look for builders, become one. You attract what you practice. When you act with purpose, people who live on purpose will find you. When you commit to excellence, mediocrity becomes allergic to your presence. Start by embodying the energy you wish to be surrounded by. Be the person who follows through, who listens deeply, who speaks less but acts more. That's how real community forms, not through searching, but through resonance. The Stoics didn't network, they connected through sheer virtue. If you live with integrity, the right circle will reveal itself in time. Here's the paradox: as your circle shrinks, your strength expands. You don't need a crowd, you need a core. One disciplined friend is worth more than 100 agreeable ones. Choose the people who remind you of your goals, not your excuses. People who inspire action, not pity. Because energy is contagious, and mediocrity spreads faster than courage. The Stoics called this moral hygiene, protecting your soul from corruption by choosing your company wisely. Clean your environment, and your clarity will return. At some point, you'll realize the journey to building your life is not a group trip, it's a personal mission. Some will walk with you for a while, others will fall away. That's not tragedy, it's proof you're moving forward. When your circle evolves, so do you. And when you finally stand among builders, people who challenge, support, and inspire you, you'll understand what Seneca meant when he said, "He who walks with the wise becomes wise." Until then, walk alone with purpose, because solitude, when chosen with intention, isn't loneliness, it's preparation. Number 5. Stop consuming to escape. Start learning to evolve. You finish work exhausted. Open your phone and disappear into the scroll. 1 hour pauses, then 2. Somewhere between the memes, the news, and the noise, your evening disappears and you call it relaxing. But the truth is, it's not rest, it's escape. We've mistaken distraction for recovery, consumption for growth. The Stoics warned about this long before screens existed. They saw that people often run from their own potential, not because they're weak, but because facing it demands change. Every minute of mindless consumption is acquired trade. You give away your time in exchange for a temporary numbness. Seneca wrote, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." He wasn't talking about fear alone, he was describing the way we live in illusions. We imagine that consuming makes us informed, that watching makes us involved, that scrolling keeps us connected. But knowledge without reflection is noise, and connection without depth is loneliness disguised as company. Modern consumption doesn't fill us, it fragments us. It keeps the mind busy and the soul empty. The Stoics believed that the purpose of knowledge is transformation, not entertainment. If what you consume doesn't change how you live, it's not wisdom, it's just digital sugar. Let's be clear, there's nothing wrong with resting, laughing, or watching something light. The problem begins when escape becomes your lifestyle. When you turn to screens not to unwind, but to forget who you are. That's not rest, it's erosion. Your focus, creativity, and peace slowly decay, leaving behind a constant restlessness you can't explain. You wake up tired, though you barely moved. You feel empty, though you consumed everything. The Stoics would call this spiritual exhaustion, your mind overstimulated, your soul undernourished. You don't need more noise. You need nourishment. Take an honest look at how you spend your time. If you scroll 2 hours a day, that's 14 hours a week over 700 hours a year. 700 hours of borrowed time you could have used to learn, build, create, or simply rest with awareness. The Stoics measured wealth not by possessions, but by how you spent your hours. Ask yourself, what am I investing my attention in? Because attention is the new currency and every click is a transaction. The question isn't whether you're paying, it's what you're buying with your life. Your future self is either being built or buried with every choice you make online. The Stoic way isn't to reject pleasure, it's to master it. Marcus Aurelius could have indulged in endless luxury, yet chose simplicity. He understood that what you consume eventually consumes you. Your mind becomes shaped by what it regularly absorbs. If you feed it chaos, you'll feel chaotic. If you feed it wisdom, you'll feel calm. You are what you repeatedly give your attention to. So be careful what you watch when you think no one's watching. Your habits in private will write your peace in public. Guard your attention like a soldier guards his weapon because it decides your destiny. Replace consumption with learning. Instead of 2 hours of random scrolling, give yourself 30 minutes of intentional growth. Read a chapter of philosophy, listen to a lecture, study a skill that builds value. But remember, learning isn't hoarding information, it's applying it. The Stoics didn't memorize wisdom, they embodied it. They studied every day not to impress others, but to improve themselves. Try this. Read one Stoic idea in the morning, then test it in your daily life. By night, reflect on how it changed your reactions. That's how knowledge becomes character. When you start learning intentionally, you'll feel withdrawal because distraction was your comfort. Your brain will crave noise the way smokers crave nicotine. That's normal. You've conditioned yourself to constant stimulation. But if you can sit through that silence long enough, something magical happens. Peace returns. You start thinking again deeply, originally. You rediscover the joy of boredom, the birthplace of creativity. Seneca would call this the liberation of attention, the moment you stop being a consumer and start becoming a creator. It's not about deleting every app. It's about reclaiming ownership of your mind. You might say, but I need my distractions to stay sane. No, you need meaning. Distraction is a bandage for emptiness. Purpose is the cure. When you learn something that genuinely stretches you, whether it's a philosophy, a skill, or a craft, you don't feel drained. You feel alive. Learning transforms exhaustion into expansion. The Stoics called it eudaimonia, the flourishing that comes from living in alignment with reason and growth. Every new skill, every book finished, every truth applied, it all adds weight to your peace. The more you evolve, the less you need to escape. So, here's a challenge. For the next 7 days, track your consumption. Every minute you spend watching, scrolling, or reacting, write it down. At the end of the week, ask, did this make me wiser, stronger, or calmer? If the answer is no, replace it. Replace 20 minutes of news with 20 minutes of reading Marcus Aurelius. Replace gossip with gratitude. Replace watching others build with building something yourself. One by one, you'll rewire your brain from passive to purposeful. That's how transformation begins, quietly, consistently. and entirely within your control. Marcus Aurelius said, "The measure of a man is the worth of the things he cares about." So ask yourself, what do you truly care about? Your consumption reveals your priorities more honestly than your words. Do you care about comfort or about becoming capable? Do you crave distraction or development? You can't evolve while running from yourself. Choose growth over escape every time, because every moment of intentional learning builds the version of you that laziness once buried. Drop this affirmation into your soul. I consume wisdom, not distraction. That's how a Stoic learns in the modern world, not by escaping it, but by mastering it. Number 6. Master boredom. That's where greatness is built. We live in a world terrified of boredom. The moment silence enters a room, we reach for our phones. We crave stimulation like oxygen, mistaking constant motion for progress. But here's the paradox. Nothing extraordinary is ever built without long periods of ordinary repetition. Muscles grew through routine. Mastery forms through monotony. The Stoics understood that greatness isn't forged in excitement, it's built in stillness. Marcus Aurelius spent countless mornings writing the same reminders. Control what you can. Let go of what you can't. He wasn't bored, he was becoming. Boredom isn't your enemy. It's the entrance to excellence. Most people quit right before greatness, not because they're weak, but because they're bored. They mistake repetition for stagnation. They expect every moment to feel inspiring, every effort to feel exciting. But mastery doesn't feel like fireworks. It feels like showing up. The Stoics called the steadfastness the quiet ability to endure the uneventful. When everyone else chases novelty, you commit to depth. When they scroll for stimulation, you train your focus. Boredom is the test. It asks one question. Can you keep doing what matters when no one's watching? If the answer is yes, success is already inevitable. We've been trained to believe that excitement equals meaning. That if something feels dull, it must be wrong. But boredom is simply the gap between who you are and who you're becoming. It's the friction of transformation. Every time you resist boredom, you're resisting growth. Think of a musician repeating scales, a craftsman sanding wood, a writer deleting and rewriting the same sentence. To outsiders, it looks tedious. To them, it's sacred. The Stoics knew that what feels repetitive today becomes remarkable tomorrow. The patience to repeat is the proof of belief. You can skip the silence and still claim the symphony. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "It's not death that a man should fear, but never beginning to live." Most people never begin to truly live because they never stay still long enough to hear themselves. Boredom is where self-awareness begins. When there's no noise left to distract you, you finally meet your own mind. And at first, it's uncomfortable. You'll hear anxiety, regret, restlessness. But beneath that, you'll find clarity, the kind that no entertainment can buy. The Stoics practiced preferred indifference. They stopped chasing pleasure and pain, focusing instead on what was useful. When you stop demanding life to entertain you, you start learning from it. The modern world has weaponized stimulation. Apps, news, and notifications all compete for your attention, training your brain to expect a dopamine hit every few seconds. That's why deep work feels painful, it's withdrawal. You've been conditioned to shallow focus. The Stoics fought the same battle, just in different form. Their antidote was presence, doing one thing fully, without needing reward. Try this. When you wash dishes, just wash dishes. When you read, just read. When you exercise, Be there entirely. Simple doesn't mean easy, but it's sacred in a world addicted to distraction. To master boredom, you must first redefine it. Boredom isn't the absence of excitement, it's the space where excellence grows. When you train your mind to find peace in repetition, you gain power over everything chaotic. The Stoics didn't seek thrill, they sought control. Control over impulses, reactions, and attention. If you can stay steady through the dull, you will stay grounded through the storm. The world chases stimulation to avoid feeling empty. You learn to embrace stillness to stay full. In that stillness, you'll notice something new. Boredom fades, and presence takes its place. Every master was once bored. The philosopher studying the same text. The athlete repeating the same drill. The parent teaching the same lesson. Their greatness wasn't born from novelty, it was born from endurance. Stoic philosophy trains you for this exact test. It asks, can you continue when life feels dull? When results are invisible? When applause is silent? If you can, you've already surpassed most. Because persistence through boredom is rarer than talent. Talent impresses, endurance transforms. Here's the practical part. Design boredom into your life. Schedule silence. Create space without screens. Do something repetitive on purpose. Dog the same route. Meditate at the same hour. Write at the same desk. These routines build mental muscle. At first, your mind will rebel. It will crave novelty, noise, chaos. But stay, don't run. Eventually, that restlessness turns into rhythm, and rhythm turns into peace. Marcus Aurelius said that repetition in duty reveals character. Anyone can start strong. Few can stay steady. Be one of the few. When you master boredom, you stop fearing it. You realize that progress isn't supposed to be exciting, it's supposed to be consistent. You'll stop chasing motivation and start respecting momentum. Every unremarkable day becomes a break in your foundation. Every routine act becomes a vote for the person you're becoming. Greatness doesn't arrive, it accumulates. Quietly, patiently, relentlessly. And when others quit because it feels boring, you'll smile. Because you'll know, boredom is the gateway they never walked through. Years from now, when your work speaks for itself, when confidence replaces restless distraction, you'll understand what the Stoics meant by discipline as freedom. You'll see that boredom was never your enemy, it was your initiation. It tested your patience, your presence, your purpose. And you passed. You'll read, train, build, and repeat, not because you have to, but because you finally love the rhythm of mastery. You'll find joy not in intensity, but in constancy. That's when you'll realize excitement fades, but peace endures. Whisper this truth to yourself tonight. I embrace boredom to build greatness. Number 7. Act as if failure isn't an option. Because regret is what there comes a point when fear of failure must be replaced by fear of regret. Failure hurts, but regret destroys. You can recover from a mistake. You can't recover from the life you never lived. The Stoics understood this difference. They faced exile, loss, and even death, but they refused to die without purpose. Seneca wrote, "It is not that we have a short life, but that we make it short by wasting it." You waste life every time you hesitate to act, every time you trade boldness for safety. What you call waiting for the right time is often fear pretending to be wisdom. And fear, when obeyed, becomes your destiny. Most people enter their goals with escape routes already built. They tell themselves, if this doesn't work, I'll try something else. That mindset feels safe, but it's poison. You can't give 100% to anything while secretly planning your retreat. The Stoics practiced total commitment. When they chose a path, they burned the ships behind them mentally, emotionally, spiritually. That's not recklessness, it's devotion. When quitting is no longer an option, creativity awakens, courage deepens, and every challenge becomes training instead of tragedy. That's when ordinary people start building extraordinary lives. Failure isn't your enemy, it's your teacher. It sharpens strategy, humbles ego, and strengthens resilience. The Stoics treated setbacks as data, not disasters. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." Every obstacle holds instruction for those patient enough to study it. You didn't fail because you weren't capable. You failed because you were being shaped. The Stoic doesn't fear falling, he fears refusing to rise. What if you began treating failure not as evidence you're not ready, but as proof you're in the arena? When you commit fully to something meaningful, the world tests you. You'll lose friends who don't understand your focus. You'll face delays, setbacks, and long nights of doubt. But each trial refines your character, stripping away the parts of you that never belonged. The Stoics saw struggle not as punishment, but purification. Seneca called hardship fire that tests gold. When you're tempted to quit, remember, the discomfort you feel is the heat that's forging your strength. Walk through it, because the pain of discipline lasts a moment, but the pain of regret lasts a lifetime. Ask yourself right now, which pain will you choose, the pain of effort or the pain of regret? Both hurt, both demand something from you, but only one leads to peace. The Stoics trained their minds to embrace effort as virtue, not punishment. They understood that discipline isn't cruelty, it's self-respect in motion. You prove your worth to yourself not by comfort, but by commitment. The man who avoids hard things suffers twice, once from fear and once from emptiness. The man who faces them suffers once, and then grows. Modern life praises safety. We're told to stay in our lane, follow the plan, wait for the perfect conditions. But the Stoics laughed at perfection. They knew that someday is a graveyard of lost potential. Epictetus asked his students, "How long will you wait before you demand the best of yourself?" He didn't mean someday, or after the next promotion, or when you feel ready. He meant now. There will never be a day without fear, fatigue, or uncertainty. But there can be a day without excuses, and the day can be today. Courage doesn't mean you stop feeling afraid. It means you act despite the fear. You take the leap knowing you could fall, because standing still costs more. Every act of courage rewires your mind. You start trusting yourself again. The Stoics believed bravery was a habit, built through repetition like muscle. You become brave by practicing bravery in small moments, speaking the truth, keeping your promises, staying calm in chaos. Do it once, then again, until courage becomes your natural state. You'll realize one day that you no longer ask, "What if I fail?" You will ask, "What if I never try?" When you treat failure as education, you start collecting lessons instead of wounds. You begin to see setbacks as feedback, not fate. That's when power returns to your hands. Life stops feeling like something that happens to you and starts feeling like something you're building. The Stoic builder doesn't chase perfection, he pursues progress. He knows that regret is just the shadow of actions never taken. He builds boldly, stumbles often, and grows endlessly. Because every fall leaves behind a brick of wisdom, and wisdom builds foundations that never collapse. One day, you'll look back and realize that the hardest seasons were also the most defining. The rejections, the failures, the loneliness, they were sharpening your edge. They forced you to become the person capable of carrying the life you once only dreamed about. The Stoics didn't pray for lighter burdens. They prayed for stronger backs. That's the secret. Don't wish the mountains smaller, grow bigger shoulders. Every challenge you face is a sacred invitation to evolve. If you keep walking, one day you'll thank every obstacle that once made you doubt yourself. When your time comes, and it will, you won't regret the failures. You will regret the moments you stayed silent, the dreams you postponed, the life you waited to start. The Stoics lived ready, not afraid. They faced mortality with peace because they had already lived with purpose. Let that be your goal, not a perfect life, but a full one of effort, courage, and clarity. So act as if failure isn't an option, because regret is worse. Build, risk, speak, try. And when the final moment comes, you'll be able to say, I gave everything I had. That's what it means to live the Stoic way. Take a breath. You've walked through 7 Stoic truths, each one a mirror, a challenge, and a map. You learned that laziness isn't rest. It's surrender. That clarity is freedom in disguise. That momentum beats motivation. That your circle shapes your destiny. That consumption can either numb you or evolve you. That boredom is a teacher, not an enemy. And that failure, when faced with courage, becomes your fuel, not your fear. Every principle leads to one truth. Life isn't waiting to be discovered, it's waiting to be built. The Stoics didn't teach theories, they taught construction, and now the tools are in your hands. Look at your days honestly. Every choice you make is a brick. Some build your future, others block it. Every distraction is a delay. Every act of discipline is a declaration. I am building something that lasts. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, at dawn, when you rise, remember, you rise to the work of a human being. That's the heart of it. The work of being human isn't chasing pleasure, it's shaping purpose. And the miracle is, you don't need to rebuild your entire life overnight. You only need to start today with one decision that says, I'm done wasting time. That's how transformation begins, quietly, firmly, right where you stand. When you live the Stoic way, you stop begging life to be easy. You start training yourself to be ready. You stop complaining about time and start commanding it. You stop fearing stillness and start finding wisdom inside it. Each challenge becomes a test of strength, not a punishment. Each delay becomes an opportunity to deepen patience. Each ordinary day becomes sacred because you're living with intention. The Stoics didn't want you to escape the world, they wanted you to master it from within, to walk through chaos with calm, through temptation with clarity, through hardship with grace. That's the art of building peace in motion. If you remember nothing else from this message, remember this: time is not stolen, it's surrendered. No one can give it back. So stop treating your hours like they're endless. Stop bargaining with weakness. Stop begging for comfort. Instead, build. Build your mind through learning. Build your strength through effort. Build your peace through discipline. You don't need another promise of someday. You need to honor this one day, the one in front of you. Because the longer you wait to start, the harder it becomes to reclaim your destiny. The Stoics never asked for recognition, they built. their lives in silence, their strength in solitude, and their peace in service to something greater. You can do the same. Every brick you lay, every distraction you resist, every small act of discipline is proof that you are no longer drifting, you are directing. So, when the world tempts you to delay, whisper this truth to yourself: I am here to build, not to waste. That single sentence can change the trajectory of a lifetime. Because the one who builds doesn't just live longer, he lives deeper. And when your time finally ends, you'll know peace, not regret. That's the Stoic victory. To have lived fully, courageously, and intentionally until your final breath. If this message reached you today, it wasn't by accident. Maybe you were searching for direction, or maybe life brought you here because you're finally ready to stop delaying your own potential. You've listened, reflected, maybe even felt something stir inside you, a quiet recognition that you've been meant from all along. Don't let that feeling fade once this video ends. Turn it into movement. Start small, write your plan. Take that step. Rebuild the promise you once made to yourself. Because wisdom only matters if it's lived. And if you've made it this far, you've already proven one thing. You don't just want inspiration, you're ready for transformation. If this spoke to your soul, share it with someone who needs it. Not for views, not for numbers, but because reminders like these can wake someone up from years of quiet drifting. Leave a comment below and tell me, which Stoic truth hit you the hardest, and why? Your answer might be the reason someone else keeps going. That's how this community grows, not through noise, but through honesty. Here, we're not chasing perfection. We're learning to live deliberately, to build discipline, peace, and purpose together. Every comment, every reflection, every shared story becomes part of that growth. This isn't just a video, it's a movement of people who refuse to waste another day. If you found value in this, take a moment to support this channel. Click like not just as a button, but as a declaration that you're choosing growth over comfort. Subscribe so we can keep walking this path together. Every week, we share lessons from Stoic philosophy, designed for the modern world, for people like you who are done pretending and ready to live with clarity and strength. You don't need loud motivation. You need quiet reminders that discipline still matters, that purpose still heals, that your time still counts, and that, deep down, you are still capable of more than you think. Stay close. The journey isn't over, it's just beginning. Before you go, take one last moment. Look round, feel the air, the time, the pulse of being alive right now. Everything you need to start is already here: your mind, your breath, your will. The Stoics would tell you, stop waiting for perfect moments. This is it. So type this below, not for me, but for yourself. I build my life with relentless discipline. Let that be your promise, the contract between who you are and who you're becoming. Because every time you repeat it, you remind the world and yourself that you are no longer waiting to live. You are living, you are building, you are free.